We are live. The motto of this channel should really be... Oops. This will probably be the new motto of the channel at this point.
Hear me, Major Tom.
Oops.
Snake, do you...
I need a short for this.
Kept you waiting, huh?
Probably be the motto of the channel. Wait until I get that soundboard. Everyone's finished at that point. To get no views on these streams, because I'll just spam the soundboard. How do I sound? Good? Do I sound good? As good as I normally am? Oh shoot, I need to put a sign on the door. Bear with me. Bonjour, Broken Britain. We're in Asian time, folks. Your boy's always late, but he's always great, so it's all good. We are good here. How do I sound? Do I sound okay? Late again. Oh, I'm getting pelters here. Europeans don't know about the Asian time. Asian people are never on time. Well, not all Asian people, just the ones from like the Indian subcontinent, always late. Sound good. Alright, good. We move. Some questions from the audience. And then I was gonna have someone on the stream, but things come up. Something came up, so they can't make it. But in honor of that person, we will be kind of still looking at the clips he was talking about, because he was watching the RNC debate. So we'll be chatting about that. So that's exciting. Because apparently it was crazy, even without the Donald there. It was crazy. You're crazy. So we're gonna be talking about that. So yeah, say probably worth just getting started. Should we wait? Should we wait a minute or two? Should we wait? What do you think? Should we get started? Have I kept you waiting long enough? It's 1:15 almost. I meant to start at 6, but some douchebag on Yu-Gi-Oh's stalling, so it took forever. I think half these guys just build decks, so then it takes forever to get to an ending of the game. Might do a video on why I'm annoyed at Master Duel, but that's me. That's a different nerd hobby for a different day. Everyone's saying hello to each other and ignoring me, so that's good stuff. I reckon we'll get started. Let's get started. Yeah, I've heard a couple of people say they don't get notification from the live streams, Sock. So normally, as long as I kind of schedule the stream half an hour before, you should get 2 notifications. One to say that I'm starting in 30 minutes, and one to say that I've started. So if you're not getting notifications, and you've hit the bell notification icon on YouTube, there's nothing more either of us can do. YouTube is such a wild beast that it just doesn't make sense. Honestly, it don't make sense. So I couldn't tell you for sure what's going on with them. It's I love YouTube, and sometimes I hate YouTube. So it's one of them things where there's not much you can say or do. When am I going to start? The live stream has started. Can you not hear me? What's going on? So yeah, there's not much I can do about YouTube issues. Like, I don't have in the big channels, they do have connections within YouTube, but you're talking ones that have closer to 10 million rather than 7,000. So yeah, not much I can do. I can moan at YouTube support, but they don't care about me. I'll be honest. So yeah, it's unfortunate. It means I've got to make sure my sound is on. Are you talking to Verti? Yeah, he must be. I think it's one of them things where you can try updating the app maybe or something, but as long as you've got the bell notification on, there's nothing I can do. maybe one day I'll be big enough, but I don't think, not even like someone like Phil or Max, like they don't have any YouTube connections either. They don't have like a channel. I think it's called like a channel manager or something. So someone who, if you have any issues with YouTube, you can go through them. But I think you need like, it must be a few million subscribers. Like I think the Act Man, he has it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But you need a lot of support. So yeah, we'll move to the next question. Sorry, Sock, I can't. There's nothing I can do about it. Let's see. Sabine has a question, and Sabine is here, so I can answer your question. Despite Tories always talking about global Britain, Sunak decided. I just got a notification. That's good. Swear down. No way. Ain't no way. Ain't no goddamn way. Yes. Yes. You love to see it. See you later, chump. See ya, chump. Wait. This is what I mean. I need the soundboard. I need the soundboard for this.
See ya, chump.
Oh no, I don't want the Scooby-Doo laugh. Oh.
See ya, chump.
Yeah, boy. Play that again.
See ya, chump.
And again.
See ya, chump.
Yes. See ya, chump. She's gone. Where did the thing go? Yeah, she's gone. Nadine Dorries has resigned her common seat 2 months after promising to quit. She launched a blistering attack on Rishi Sunak because she didn't get into the Lords. She didn't get into the House of Frauds. Yes. Yeah, she's gone. How many days? 2 months. It took 2 months, Stanley, but she's gone. Yeah, you love to see it. About time. The salary who was on 86,000 has come under increased pressure. You know, she's done for resigning. Honestly, just stay. Just get your thing. She said she submitted a resignation letter and published an eviscerating text on the Daily Mail subscription Mail Plus. Imagine going to a paywalled place to put your resignation thing. What an absolute how cringe is that? Honestly, what a stupid thing to do. But she's gone. She said, history will not judge you kindly. Do you know who history won't judge kindly? You, Nadine. They will not judge you kindly, especially after your drunken tirades. She accused the Prime Minister of abandoning the fundamental principles of conservatism. Do you know who else abandoned the fundamental principles of conservatism? Boris Johnson, the guy you seem to be in love with. Hi, Purple. So yeah, she's gone. Good day, a good week. Honestly, a good week. You love to see it. You love to see it. Oh, I'm gonna get copyright for that. Oh no! I didn't mean to. What the hell's playing?
Give me some of that web action.
I'm gonna get copyright claimed. Oh no! I tried to be funny. I'm gonna get claimed for that. I'm gonna get claimed so hard. And nothing of value was lost. Nah, you're not wrong. I got some comedic value though. I need the soundboard, guys. Oh, so annoying. Question for you. MPs donate 10 to 20 of their MP salary to the party when elected. I didn't even know that was a thing, QA, I'll be honest, but probably not. I reckon once you're in for the first time, you're done. I don't think you have to donate anymore. Because I think we would have had complaints about it. I didn't know they have to give about 10 to 20% of their salary to the party. That's a bit stupid, honestly. I don't think that's a good system. Can they all resign? I mean, I wish. Yeah, but Purple, you're right. Nothing of value was lost. Nadine Dorries was an absolute. Do you know what? Let's see if we can find. Got any more questions here? We've got a couple more. One second. Let's see. In honor of this moment. Nadine Dorries. Let's see if Politics Joe would have something. Let's see if they got anything in honor of. If they got anything in honor of Nadine Dorries.
Who drank the Kool-Aid and got rid of Boris Johnson are already asking themselves the question, who next? And I've loved for every year.
Sport, for making sure you've got football pictures and that you have tennis pictures in your communities.
Tennis courts, well, okay.
Where you can play in exercise sports.
There's a Nadeem Zahawi in Cabinet. So do you want me to say Nadine or Nadine?
There are only 3 women who call me Nadine. My mum, Theresa May, and you.
All right, it's Nadine.
What?
Nadine.
So Nads is fine.
Oh,
That's what your brother
Mad
calls
Nads.
me, Nads, as you know. So Nads
well,
is fine.
gonads then.
Yeah. So I'm
Gonads, isn't that's something else, isn't it?
To say that just because Channel 4 has been established as a public service broadcaster and just because it's in receipt of public money, we should never kind of audit the future of Channel 4 and we should never evaluate how Channel 4 looks in the future and whether or not it's a sustainable and viable model. It's quite right that the government should do that.
But Channel 4's not like the BBC. It's not in receipt of licence fee money. It makes its money from commercial operations.
And so, although it's, but
Have you spoken to the Prime Minister recently in the last 24 hours?
This was weird.
Why? Why are you asking me that question?
I'd like to know.
What's the RAM usage like? How high is it? What's high?
We've communicated.
Right.
I'm really confused. Is that a difficult question? I'm just asking if you've spoken to the Prime Minister in the last 24 hours.
We have communicated.
Okay. What has he communicated to you?
Well, that's. I'm not going to tell you the extent of my communications with the Prime Minister. I mean, I've answered your question. We have communicated. What is your next question?
Coming up on tonight's programme.
Oh, this was pretty good. This was pretty good. I remember this.
For a change, a man who was going
The Channel 4 moment. I don't remember that.
to clear up a woman's
Oh, is it the one where she looked wasted in the House of Commons?
mess. That's Rishi Sunak as he enters number 10. As you were, Sunak's stability extends to the cabinet with the big beefsteak and all cages, but Braverman back at home in the Home Office. Sorry, I've just completely messed up.
At least she was aware that she messed it up. At least she was self-aware in that moment. That's the nicest thing I can say about that.
They're in our studio and we've risked them for a clue. Stick around for Just Stop Oil live.
But anyone who says that this isn't being coordinated and isn't being organised behind the scenes, I'm afraid is not telling you the truth. This is a very well organised campaign. It's a perfect storm for some. It's Remainers who are taking in others who are disaffected, and for a number of reasons, those who lost their jobs in cabinet or as ministers. And I'm afraid anyone who says that this isn't organised is not telling you the truth.
There were 56,293 responses when you asked people about privatisation. What percentage of those 56,000 supported privatisation?
I think the figure was about 96%, but also
Supported
40. I'd like to finish answering the question, if that's possible, Chair.
Yeah.
46,000 of those respondents were from a politically motivated organisation called 38 Degrees, who actually rewrote the consultation question in a far more leading way than was in the consultation. Also,
I see if I can find any good ones.
I think also
this classic. It's
amount
absolute
of,
classic.
90. Passing some new legislation to make the internet safer for
I
the
learned Sunak. Since she took office a year ago, the country is run by a zombie parliament where nothing meaningful has happened. What exactly has been done? That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
The generation. It's effectively a framework to protect internet users.
Can we get politicians and older people to stop doing stuff like this? I get you're trying to appeal to a younger generation here, but please just stop.
From scams, illegal content and anonymous abusers. It will force big tech to stop their terms being breached and puts in measures to defend free speech. But is it true it will impact freedom of expression? No, we put in legal protections in the 19th section. Another thing we're doing through the laws we're passing is tackling online crime and cyber flashing.
And again, I don't know, maybe it's not that bad. It's cringe, but maybe it's not bad because that is a scary pause. I apologise to the audience for this. Maybe it's cringe, but it's not bad because if she just said this in a speech, I probably wouldn't have listened. But because this video is cringe, and I have actually watched this and realised maybe they are doing some decent things somewhere in the world. I don't know.
Companies fail to comply with the law, fail to protect the users that they're responsible for. The regulator Ofcom will have the power to fine. So platforms must.
I mean, Ofcom is trash. Let's be honest. Now they let politicians interview each other. Which apparently they're not allowed to do, and Ofcom has done nothing, so...
To keep people safe online.
My question is a pretty fundamental one, which is the impression we're supposed to take now that Boris Johnson admits that things should have been done differently.
In number 10.
There is no denying at the time when his government
Emily, can I get a
told
word in?
him to
Can I just get a word
resign,
in?
that there were problems.
Can I just get a word in? Rishi was also working in the same buildings. What Boris Johnson knew about Partygate, Rishi knew. Rishi was fined as well. They were working in the same
I think Sunak got 1 fine. I think Boris Johnson got 2. So it's not exactly the same.
buildings, day and night, with the same people, breathing the
Piers Morgan uncensored, but Piers Morgan's not even on the screen. Very strange.
same air, doing exactly the same thing.
The word Partygate is just, it's a misnomer. Number 10 is an office building with an iconic front door. And it was a workplace. Parties, as far as I'm concerned, take place socially. This was people in their own workplace. But I think it's, the tag Partygate is an easy tag to put on something that's...
People add gate to everything. Like any scandal, there's people add the word gate. I don't know why. It's a weird thing.
Just, it's just a gimmick title. But I think it's actually that you never saw. That's very, that he couldn't understand.
No, it's all right. I think I've seen a better compilation of like Nadine Dorries. We did this in the honour of Doris.
Broadband in your home, that means you can downstream your movies, where
Downstream your movies, Jesus Christ.
responsible for making sure the internet's a safe place for you to go to. We want to make the internet in the UK the safest internet in the world. We're responsible for everything to do with sport, for making sure you've got a football picture.
Oh yeah, we've seen this bit. Shouts out to Nadine. Nothing nice to say about her. Let's leave it at that. Doris attacks Sunak's record over her old policy brief for culture. You flash your gleaming smile in your Prada shoes and Savile Row suit behind a camera, but you just weren't listening. Oh my god. She's trying to attack him for being wealthy. Oh my god, it's embarrassing. Imagine Tories attacking other Tories for wearing expensive clothing. What a world we live in. She can switch her videos in the street. Jesus. It's terrible. Got one from Simon. Oh wait, actually no, I missed out Sabine's question actually. Talk about the global... Sorry, I got very distracted. Tories talk about global Britain. Is it because the decision to allow further oil and gas in the UK put him at odds with the General Secretary of the UN, Antonio Guterres, who described countries that are increasing the production of fossil fuels as dangerous radicals? Is it because of the illegal immigration bill? Is it because the UK could leave the ECHR and with the UK in a bad position with the UNCHR? What do you think? I think he didn't go to Davos. I think it was Davos this year. He wants to avoid a lot of media scrutiny and any kind of criticisms. So I would say that the reason he didn't go to this event, the UN General Assembly, is because you can see how isolated British Prime Ministers are at these events. Boris Johnson looked very isolated. Theresa May looked like she had no friends whatsoever. And I think if you go to these events, if you avoid them, it doesn't look great. But if you do go and you do cut a very lonely figure, because let's be honest now, Britain does not have any friends in the world, not really. I would say he's avoided going there because he wants to look like he's working hard. That's the first thing, he wants to make it look like, he's working hard trying to deal with inflation and all these other problems, right? That's one of the things. I know he's on vacation, he's taking pictures and whatever, but generally he tries to give the appearance of he's working for the British people, not for these globalists and whatever, however else Tories would describe international organisations. I think the main reason he avoided it is because of that, because of the optics. It's the first time in the UK history that a Prime Minister doesn't go to a UN General Assembly. I mean, yeah, it's pretty shameful, but I think he doesn't go to these events because he looks very awkward. And they'll probably meme him. I think that's why. The UK is making decisions like getting more oil and gas from the North Sea because they want to max it out. I don't think that's that big a scandal for a Tory, honestly. That's pretty normal for them. With the ECHR, that is problematic. That is problematic. But I don't think that would be a reason he wouldn't go. I think it's because the optics are bad and Britain doesn't have a lot of friends, and it's very evident. It's very evident when British politicians go to these events that we are not that well liked on the world stage. I would say that's my reason. I could be wrong. But yeah, there were so many pictures of what's her name, Theresa May, you know, when she went to these events, especially during a lot of the bad Brexit stuff, she just looked very isolated. And it's not a good look, especially when you get clowned by the politicians, and occasionally we do get clowned a lot as well. Like, you know, they kind of look at him and laugh a bit. Sunak is a guy who looks very, very introverted. As a person who's very introverted, I can imagine just avoiding these events where you might get clowned by people is probably a lot easier. I'll be honest. It's pretty shameful, you know, that we should be going to, like, you know, international events, you know. But, you know, he's a guy who skipped out on Davos as well, which you think he'd be at home at a place like Davos, you know, surrounded by rich people and socialites and other things like that. But he didn't go, and I think he doesn't go because he wants to avoid scrutiny. I think that's the thing, and I don't know. Does that answer your question, Sabine? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, I think that's why, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Simon says it's always Tories and Labour. Maybe a review of the Lib Dems and Greens. I think No Justice has done a lot of work on the Greens, so I would say I'd recommend watching some of No Justice's content on it. The thing with the Lib Dems is, like, I have a hate relationship with them because of what happened in 2010. So I will probably vote for them in the general. I'll be honest. You know, because, you know, like I said, my sound is low. My sound is low. Is it bad? Okay, hold up. Let me move a bit closer to my mic. So yeah, I would say, look, I sound is booming here. That's very. My sound is fine. Okay, it looks fine on OBS. So look, I'll show you guys quickly. So my audio should be just around in the yellow. So my audio should be okay. I'm not sure if there's an issue. Sound is okay. It might be just some issue on some people's ends. I'm not familiar with Demo. I think she mentioned Demo, but I'm not familiar with Demo. But you know the. All right, we'll leave the sound as is then. We'll leave the sound as is. What I'd say is I don't want to do a lot on the Lib Dems because I personally don't like them. That's the problem. It's, you know, it's personal to me because of what they did between 2010 and 2015. I will probably vote for them. I need to speak to the local candidate. I need to know if he's a decent person. He seems okay. Damo's Green Party. Okay, fair enough. I need to, because, you know, at the end of the day, if Labour, you know, I've spoken to the Labour candidate here. She didn't reply to my emails after the third one. Of me in conversation with her. I asked her how they're going to get the highest sustained growth in the G7. She didn't answer. So either she ignored me, which is not good for a potential MP, or she didn't have an answer, which is probably worse. So, you know, I don't, like I said, personally, I don't like them. So I don't want to cover them too much. Everyone should vote Green. Shake up party. Lol. When you live in the first past the post system, you don't have that luxury. That's the problem. But, you know, you can. The thing is, they say they don't need our vote anyways. So, you know, if it's the case that, you know, you need our vote, then you should listen to us. And if it's the case you don't need our vote, then shut up and leave us alone. Yeah, thanks, Sarah. I think the audio is fine. I've moved a bit closer to the mic, and I think I'm talking a bit louder here. So look, you know, the way I see it is either you listen to us and you take our feedback on board and you give us at least 3 policies that are good and progressive. And when I say progressive, I mean progressive. Or you shut the hell up, and if you lose, you accept it. You take personal ownership. You take extreme ownership of your failure. We need radical change. Yeah, it's true, you know. But the thing is, we need this lot to go. Yeah, No Justice is good. I don't. Her analysis of Labour is a lot better than mine. I think she can articulate things a lot better on Labour. Yeah, everyone hit the like button. Thanks, Cass. It was tried in 2011. It wasn't done well. It was a failure. It was a failure, Darian. Let's be honest now. Absolute failure. What else? So yeah, like I said, personally, I don't like the Lib Dems. With the Greens, I don't. The Greens are, and I'll be nice about this. The Greens are small potatoes. Like they are not major. They'll be lucky to have a seat at the next election. So So I'm not. It feels like there's no point covering them, if that makes sense. It's mean, I know, but the paradox therein is people don't cover them because they're small time, but they'll always stay small time because people don't cover them. If one of them wanted to reach out and wanted to do some content with me, to have a conversation, then I'd be open to it. But for the most part, until I see good policies like manifesto level stuff, I'm not going to cover the Greens. And yeah, it's a scummy thing to do, I'm not going to lie, but there's not much benefit in it for me, I'll be honest, unless they've got really, really good policies, and I'll be like, damn, you guys are good. So I don't know. Maybe that's just short-sighted from me, but at the moment, as things stand, I probably won't do much on the Greens. The Lib Dems, if they got anything good, I'll cover it. If they got anything really bad, I'll cover it. But for now, I'll speak to my local candidate. I think his name is something Sawyer. I'll speak to him and I'll see what he's like. I'll see, I'll ask him about their policies, and I'll figure things out. But for now, at least, the Lib Dems might have my vote tentatively. My mind is open to change. Just, they've got to figure out how to change it. I think I see a comment that looks interesting. Stuart saying, I'm SNP, but debating voting Lib Dems. Just, I would say, have a look at your constituency. If you think the SNP have a better shot, then, the SNP are a shout. If you think the Lib Dems have a better shot, then go with the Lib Dems. Just have a look and try and figure out kind of the trends on how things are going. And I think it's Electoral Calculus have a website where you can kind of check what the percentage chances of the parties winning in your constituency. But speak to the local candidates. Just speak to them and try and see if they can win you over, honestly. In a first past the post system, it will be disastrous to vote Green. They will never get into power. That is true. But the thing is, UKIP never managed to get an MP in, to actually win. But because UKIP did okay in the polls, they got, I think, between 7 and 12% or something like that. They managed to shape the national conversation because the Tories were terrified of their vote being split. So, there's no problem with voting Green or supporting the Greens. But it just depends. If Labour offer you nothing, then what do you want? I'm not voting for blue Tories and red Tories. I'm not voting for another party to continue austerity. So, is live really time? You can't. The only way you can change the Labour Party is by taking the leadership. That's it. There's no other way you can do it because they don't care about the membership. They don't listen to the members. That's the only way you can do it is if you take the leadership, and that's why being the leader of a party is so important, because you can shape everything else. Let's see. You don't always vote to get someone into power. I vote for those closest to my own politics. Won't now vote Labour would feel too grubby. I mean, it's up to you, Stanley. Like I said, speak to your local candidate. Tell them, look, I'm not sure if I want to vote for you guys. And if their answer is, do you want the Tories in? I'll be like, just say no, but say I'm not voting for red Tories. Just tell them that, and just say at the moment I think you're a David Cameron type Conservative party. So I will do a review at some point. Cass saying that, not sure if there was a reply about the decline of UK industry. I did answer that question. I know I did. It might have been a bit late. I can't remember at what point in the stream, but it was a question that was then. I did answer it. I don't know if it was the best answer, but there was an answer nonetheless. So we move. Is there any more questions? Anyone sneak one in? Scotland. That's not true. Scotland. If Scotland vote SNP, they get SNP. But there is a limit. There is a limit on how much the SNP or any party in the Holyrood can do because of the state of the way Westminster just has too much power. That's the problem. If you want independence, you got to vote SNP. Then that's the only way. That's the only way you'll get it, because the Lib Dems won't get you it. I did see a former Labour, I think she was an MSP, Kezia Dugdale, saying she can't vote for the Union if it's just the Tories. Electoral Calculus has the Greens on 4.8%, but returning only one MP. Yeah, they won't. The SNP are the best bet. It's not always about winning and losing, but it's putting yourself in the best position to win. And voting Lib Dem won't get you there. Voting SNP can get you there. It's not saying it will, but it can. There's a difference in the two. You won't get Indy voting against the SNP. Yeah, that is true. That is unfortunately true. Unless you vote Green, Scottish Greens, they're your other bet as well. Check out the Green Party in Scotland because they are different to the one in the United Kingdom. That's what I'd say. Also, potentially I'm going to be doing a stream with No Justice tomorrow, so be prepared for that because it's a bank holiday. So I've got Monday off work, so I want to just get through, just do a bit of extra content for you guys. But yeah, you know, there was the RNC debate, and I was going to do a stream with someone else today, but that fell through. But in honor of that person, because he's busy, and I appreciate it, we are going to watch some of the RNC debates and kind of react to it a bit. But yeah, I think that's all the questions answered. Skibby, if I get asked, do you want the Tories to get in by canvassing, my reply would be, that is why I'm not voting Labour. It's not bad. It's not bad. Next year we will have elections for the EU Parliament. Jeez, von der Leyen's time is over. Yeah, Stuart, you know the thing is, right? Escaping the British Empire is one of the hardest things a country will ever do. And do you know what? Scotland are lucky in the chance that they didn't have to do it through fighting. Not recently, anyways. You might not ever see an independent Scotland, but you know, life isn't always about winning or losing. It's about having faith and telling others what you had faith to believe in. Von der Leyen will lead NATO next. Come on, bro. Von der Leyen ain't running NATO. Let's be honest now. She's, yeah, you know, she's gonna work for like Pfizer or something like that. Watch. She'll want to take independence. What will England do about it? The British military and the British Navy might stop by. So yeah, you wanna watch out for them. Royal Navy. Could do. You never know. I don't know, dog. You know, you can't look at a guy with an SA-80 and tell him they're weak. Yeah, the Union can be broken up, and Britain's lost the vast majority of his empire. It can happen, but you know, it just depends on the methods. Let's see. Just send them homeward to think again. EU elections June 24, new EU government by October. Who's going to be? Which country is it going to be? Is it going to be? Is it going to be Ireland? Which country is going to be the one running the EU? Which member state? She's not going to work for NATO. Come on, guys. I'm telling you, 100%. I guarantee she's going to go work for like Pfizer. I guarantee. Ireland waited 700 years, and that followed a war of independence. Westminster didn't recognise SF and IPP. They want female. I mean, yeah, woke NATO. But anyways, let's get on with this. Let's watch these clips before I get too distracted. Whoops, got my OBS on the wrong screen. All right.
A show of hands. Do you believe in?
We're gonna react to some of these clips, and see how this goes. This is the RNC debates that happened the other day.
Human behavior is causing climate change. Raise your hand if you do.
Look, we're not school children. Let's have the debate. I mean, I'm happy to take it to start. Alexander, so do you want to raise your hand or not?
Ron DeSantis trying to show he's got leadership credentials there.
I don't think that's the way.
So you got Nikki Haley, you've got Ron DeSantis, Mike Pence, and I do not recognise the other people.
So let me just say to Alexander this. First of all,
do you think she might go to work for NATO, but I don't think she'll be running it or in charge of it.
One of the reasons our country's decline is because of the way the corporate media treats Republicans versus Democrats. Biden was on...
Bro, stop the cap. Stop the cap, bro. You guys get a free pass so often. So often. Stop the cap, bro.
On the beach while those people were suffering. He was asked about it. He said no comment. Are you kidding me?
Who's he talking about? He's talking about Hawaii or something.
As somebody that's handled disasters in Florida, you got to be activated.
Bro, you did not deal well with COVID in Florida. Let's be honest now.
You've got to be there. You've got to be present. You've got to be helping people who are doing this. And here's the deal.
Let's just answer the question.
His
So,
grandstanding.
is that a yes? Is that a hand raise?
You do not.
I think it was a hand raise for him, and it's my hands are in my pockets.
No,
because
no,
the
I
climate
didn't
change
raise-
agenda
I
is
didn't
a
raise a
hoax. Let us be honest as Republicans. I'm the only person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax.
Oh, that's a good jab. It's a good jab there.
The climate change agenda is a hoax, and we have to declare independence.
I heard this brother was in a madness, so let's have a look.
And the reality is, the anti-carbon agenda is the wet blanket on our economy. And so the reality is, more people are dying of bad climate change policies than they are of actual climate change.
That's not even true. It's not even true. What you know, I'd love to see. I can't listen. Yeah, don't worry. He's just saying this. Stop the cap. You're gonna hear me say that a lot. Just stop lying, bro. Like, if you've seen the wildfires exacerbated by climate change, we saw a heat dome in Canada. People died.
Governor Haley, are you bought and paid for? Hold on. Listen. Wait, hold on.
I've had enough. I've had enough already tonight.
Moderators already failed. The moderators have not managed to take over this. They should just turn off people's mics. Honestly, just turn off people's mics.
Of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT.
Woo! He sounds like ChatGPT.
Up here. And the last person in one of these debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, "What's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here?" was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing on stage tonight.
Is it because this guy's a minority? I don't know why he's saying he's like Barack Obama. Ben Hodges. Ben, is that the guy from GB News?
Give me a hug.
Who's Ben Hodges?
Just like you did to Obama.
The same type of amateur.
And you'll help elect me just like you did to Obama too. Give me that
the same type of amateur.
You'll help elect me just like you did Barack Obama. Jesus.
Hold on.
Yeah, but you know what? Because it doesn't impact us that much, we can meme them and laugh. Well, when I have to do the Tory debates, that's when it gets serious.
Would you like to respond? Are you bought and paid for?
What I would like to say is the fact that I think this is exactly why Margaret
Nikki Haley, who embarrassed the United States at the UN.
Thatcher said, if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman.
I mean, yeah, we asked Theresa May to run the country, and we asked Liz Truss to run the country. It didn't go well. So, you know, we asked Thatcher to run the country, and she deindustrialized the country. So, just your gender doesn't make you a good politician or mean you can get things done. Well, I guess they got bad things done, but you know, not great. I would not be playing the gender card. I'll be honest.
First of all, we do care about clean air, clean water. We want to see that taken care of, but there's a right way to do it. And the right way to do it is, first of all, yes, is climate change real? Yes, it is. But if you want to...
Ooh, she said climate change is real. Nuts. Wow. She said climate change is real. That is yeah, that's something.
And really change the environment, then we need to start telling China and India that they have to lower their emissions.
One of the reasons China's emissions, I think China's emissions actually is lower than the US per capita or something like that. But the other thing is, like, you know, like one of the reasons China's emissions so high is because they're manufacturing stuff for most of the world. So, you know, it's such a stupid point. India, I'm not sure why it'd be something similar, but you know, again, I'm not sure about their emissions, but you know, to take a dig at China when your emissions, I think, are significantly higher, it would not be doing that.
That's where our problem is. And these green subsidies that Biden has put in, all he's done is help China, because he doesn't understand all these electric vehicles that he's done, what that does. Half of the batteries for electric vehicles are made in China. And
so why don't you subsidize them and build them in America then? Well, why don't you just do that? You can put tariffs on the Chinese ones and build them in America.
So that's not helping the environment. You're putting money in China's pocket, and Biden did that. So first of all, I think we need to acknowledge the truth,
Ben Wallace. Why did Ben Wallace? I think Ben Wallace is looking to get out of politics and is looking to probably move. He could. I'm surprised he wouldn't be the one that they would want in NATO, to be honest. You know, he has had some accusations, I think, of stolen valor. But you know, I mean, so does Ukraine. Ukraine also has a man in power. I really don't get, you know, when people play like when politicians play like race or gender cards, I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it.
These subsidies are not working. We also need to take on the international world and say, okay, India and China, you've got to stop polluting, and that's when we'll start to deal with it.
You got to stop polluting. You got to stop polluting. Stop polluting.
Bought and paid for?
Absolutely.
Are you bought and paid for?
I'm sorry?
Are you bought and paid for?
Absolutely.
He said absolutely, I think.
No, I mean, here's what the American people deserve, is a debate about the issues.
I can't lie. Apart from the fact that his tie is off-center, that is a well-pressed suit, I think.
Issues that affect their lives.
His shirt choice, his color combination's nice. That's the nicest thing I'll say about this geezer. I don't know who he is, but I do like the colors.
Going back and forth being childish is not helpful to the American people to decide on the next leader of our country. Number one, wait a second. And number two, as a kid who grew up in a single-parent household mired in poverty, I wondered, was the American dream real for kids who were devastated by poverty?
No, the American dream is not real for kids living in poverty.
Devastated by the challenges of life. I came to the conclusion that America can do for anyone what she's done for me if we focus on restoring hope, creating opportunities, and protecting America. If we want the environment to be better, and we all do, the best thing to do is to bring our jobs home from China. If we create 10 million new jobs in
literally, that's what Joe Biden is literally creating jobs with his green subsidies and his what was it? Not Build Back Better, it was something else. The green subsidy program. I can't remember the exact name of it. The CHIPS Act, I think it was. He's literally bringing jobs back to America. What are you talking about, bro?
Made in America plan, we will have a better economy and a better environment. Let me tell you why I say that, Brett. America.
Do it quickly.
America has cut. I'm a Southern boy. I talk slow. So America.
Another one.
That was quick. America has cut our carbon footprint in half in the last 25 years. The places where they are continuing to increase: Africa, 950 million people. India, over 1 billion. China, over 1 billion. Why would we put ourselves at a disadvantage?
I mean, it sounds like you just listed countries with way higher populations than yourselves. That's why you look at per capita numbers. Let's leave bro alone. Let's go to this one. This one looked quite fun.
The real choice we face in this primary is this. Do you want a super PAC puppet, or do you want a patriot who speaks the truth?
He's going for the Donald Trump stuff where he's saying, oh, you know, I'm independently funded and that kind of stuff, which is interesting.
The 8 Republican presidential
I don't care
candidates
for
who
your
made the
commentary.
cut over hot-button issues.
Have to lower their emissions.
Okay, we've seen this one already.
Done for me.
Conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States.
What's he talking about?
Now pitching himself as the candidate most willing to take on the former president, who's mired in legal trouble.
Okay, that makes sense. See if there's anything else interesting. I want to see, apparently the Asian dude was talking big. That's what I want to see. I know I've got one clip here.
The problems here in the United States and be the leader of the free world has a pretty small view of the greatest nation on earth.
You're not the greatest nation on earth, though. You don't have the happiest people. You don't have the highest levels of success. If anything, the greatest nations in the world are the Scandinavian countries. And they have their own issues, but they are much happier countries and they have much better outcomes for their people than your country ever will. So, you know, let's be honest now. This kind of American patriotism is just toxic. I'm not saying England is much better, but yeah.
That is incorrect. We can do both, Vivek.
Can I come in to get my laptop? Yeah, you can. Yes.
We've done both. We've been the leader of the free world and the arsenal of democracy for years. The Reagan Doctrine years ago made it clear. We said, if you're willing to fight the communists on your soil, we'll give you the means to fight them there so our troops don't have to fight them. Vivek, if we do the giveaway...
You know what else you did? You gave weapons to the Mujahideen to fight the Russians. How did that end for you? I'm not saying these two are any way comparable, but, you know, just to use that example is a bit strange. You know, you've armed some of the worst people in the world.
You want to give to Putin to give him his land. It's not going to be too long before he rolls across a NATO border, and frankly, our men and women of our armed forces are going to have to go and fight him. I want to let the Ukrainians fight and drive Putin and the Russians back out into Russia.
He's got a valid point there, and that's one of the most tragic things about the war is it's either we do help Ukraine as much as we can, or you know, Putin does potentially invade a NATO country, and it's all bets are off at that point. That's the problem. Not saying Putin's that stupid, but, you know, the guy's not very bright. Let's be honest now. You know, he looked like a guy who knew what he was doing, but in the end, you know, he misplayed very, very badly.
Address Pence, Vice President Pence. I have a newsflash. The USSR does not exist anymore. It fell back in 1990.
Oh, he's trying to be like Obama so bad, talking about like when Mitt Romney said, "Oh, we have less aircraft carriers or whatever," and Obama was like, "We have less bayonets." You know, the Cold War wants its plans back or something like that. He's trying to be Obama so bad, you can tell. He's trying to be funny with these zingy lines.
You talked about the communists, and the real communists that we have to address right now.
Did Pence mention communism? What a moron. Oh, I think he meant in the context of like arming people. So what he's done is he's taken. I don't want to defend Mike Pence.
Putin's aims
you
are.
already spoke. Now I actually have something to say.
Vladimir Putin has been saying he wants to reestablish the old Soviet sphere
You've made
of
your point,
influence.
Vice President.
Now, if you think I'm sorry if I insulted
Okay, and the moderator, like these moderators are trash.
him by calling him a communist. He is a dictator and a murderer, and the United States of America needs to stand against authoritarianism.
Mr. Ramaswamy, 30 seconds.
Yeah, this guy's a moron. This guy's like, he's AliExpress Trump. Honestly, he thinks he's got zingers like Obama, but this guy's got nothing. Fox News hosting, yes, Fox News were hosting it. Yeah, that was trash. There's a lot of different topics I was going to discuss today. I don't think I'd go as long as I have in the beginning, but we move. Also, yeah, there's a lot to discuss in these topics. So we've got to discuss like the energy stuff, some Brexit stuff, some channel crossings, a couple of other topics. On the international front, expansion of BRICS and threat of French war on Niger are the big... Yeah, that is true. The expansion of BRICS, I've seen people discuss that. A few more countries are going to be included in it. That could be interesting. Niger is the big one, which no one seems to be really talking about, not even me. I should do a better job on it. But Mongolia was the happiest country in the world. That is nuts. Those guys are built different, though. Well, they were at one point. But yeah, energy bills in the UK going up.
Gem says the new cap will knock £151 off the average bill from October the 1st, taking it to £1,923.
Wealth is relative.
Reduced help from the government will mean higher bills for some, though, especially those who consume less energy.
And without the £400 the government put towards our bills last winter, Ofgem itself admits many...
It wasn't that the government put the money to the bills towards these bills. It was, the taxpayer. Let's be honest, it was the taxpayer who did this.
People won't really feel the benefit of the cap.
We recognise that there are families that are going to struggle. One thing we've done today is make sure that companies have enough capacity to support people, for example, on prepayment meters. So if you run out of credit, you have access to additional support to help you get through those difficult times. But the truth is...
Yeah, and Vlad's fighting this war to the last Russian.
This is a massive problem. So all of us, Ofgem, government and the industry, need to work together to look after.
I mean, let's be honest. The problem is we're paying stupid amounts of money for the energy. We could do windfall taxes, but we haven't. We could have all the mini wind turbines and solar panels, and we would never be held prisoners in our homes. I mean, to an extent, as long as we have enough to provide energy consistently, I think we'd still need nuclear power plants. That would be one of the issues, but. I'm not against building more nuclear power plants as long as they're built properly, safely, and in good areas. The problem is the government haven't done it over the last, over a decade now. That's the problem running into. But don't worry, gang. Members who are forced, who lose, MPs who lose, will now receive 4 months of support instead of 2. So they've doubled the amount of support ex-MPs are getting. We had chimneys on our houses, swapped them out for wind. And so I don't think it would be that practical to put wind turbines in people's houses, but solar is possible. But again, the problem is I don't think the UK actually generates that much solar energy. But we are a windy country. Head of the Ofgem.
These who are made worse off.
Oops.
You're saying, yeah, okay, the average household will be better off, but actually it's disproportionately hitting the poorer households, isn't it?
Again, as always.
Those people who are trying to make a decision to cut, or maybe they haven't even got a choice, they have to cut down on their energy bills. And actually, because of the standing charge, it's hitting them harder, isn't it? We know from this information from the Resolution Foundation, more than 7 million households are going to face higher bills this winter. And that's because of the increase in standing charges and the loss of government subsidies. So
why are they increasing the standing charge? It doesn't make any sense when that's money these companies get for free. They literally install these meters and charge people money for no reason.
So actually, although it's good news for the average household, for those households who are really struggling, the ones that really need it the most, who are having to make tough decisions, this won't help them enough, will it?
Well, look, let's take the standing charge. So what that pays for is the fixed costs for all of the system. It pays for the network that brings energy to our homes, and it pays for the call centres, for example, that companies need to answer all our questions and queries.
So why is that being supplied by people mostly on prepaid meters?
Now, we have looked in the past at moving those...
Also, those call centres, they're massively understaffed.
...costs away from the standing charge.
So I think he's paid by the government, to be honest.
for the price per unit that we all pay. But the problem with that is you create big losers as well as people who would be better off. Now, those losers are equally poor families who have very, very high energy.
The only big loser here I see is you, pal. Be honest. I'll probably get rid of this. I don't think I'll make a standalone video on some of this stuff.
Says that move, alongside the fact that standing charges are increasing, means that over 7 million households are facing higher bills despite that price cap coming down. Is that acceptable?
Well, our action last winter was worth far more than £60 a month. We actually paid, in fact, every single person in this country's energy bill, half of their energy bills over last winter. It cost the British taxpayer £40 billion.
So why don't you do windfall taxes then? There were ways we could have made it a lot cheaper for the taxpayer to do this, but instead they let these guys get, make stupid amounts of money.
To implement, but that was £40 billion well spent in my view, because we were in an unprecedented situation with prices at all-time highs.
Literally, we paid more than any country in the world.
Result of global inflationary pressures and Putin's illegal invasion of Ukraine, and we're very proud to have done what we did last year to support the British people. And as I said,
why not do it again this year?
Well, the most vulnerable in society who can't afford to heat their homes, people who are dependent on benefits, etc., will, of course, still be supported by this government. But I think we should be looking at the positives here. I mean, energy prices down by £580 from their peak, heading...
What did you do to decrease the prices? You did nothing.
In the right direction, people paying less for their energy, inflation coming under control and moving towards government target of being halved by the end of the year. That's incredibly good news. The British people will feel that in their pockets, and I think that we should be talking about the positives of this morning, whilst also recognising, of course, that there are people out there who will be looking at these numbers with worry, which is why we will be supporting the most vulnerable in society moving forward.
Well, yes, you want to look at the positives, but for some people who are worried about rising food prices that they're facing and fuel prices will now be worrying about paying their energy bills as well. What's your message to them? Do they just have to use less energy this winter?
No, that's not the message at all. People will see the numbers today.
Can't listen to this guy. It's just talking absolute nonsense in circles. You're not doing enough,
But bosses effectively averaged 16.16.
EU last week reached 90% full gas capacity. It's good news.
16% pay rises last year. When we know that in the public sector, doctors have been offered, 6%, ASLEF train drivers offered 5%, all the public sector well into single figures, not anywhere near double figures, yet bosses getting 16%. I thought we were all in this fight against inflation together.
Well, look, nurses are £5,000 on average in real terms poorer than they were in 2010. The paramedics are £6,500 poorer than they were back in 2010. Workers overall, private, public, have gone through the longest squeeze in wages now since the Napoleonic age. In fact, it's estimated in 2026 the average British worker will be no better off than they were back in 2008. And at the same time, bosses are paying themselves massive, massive wages.
An average £500,000 per head.
Well, and you know what? This comes back to the issue of inflation. Who is causing inflation in this country? Because if you look at the International Monetary Fund, the OECD, they bring together all the rich industrialised countries, the research points to the fact that a lot of companies are using this to fuel massive profits that are driving inflation. It's not wages, because we've gone through such a squeeze in wages now. The idea that ordinary people paying too much money in shops is driving inflation just is incredible.
Yeah, 100% he's correct. It's supply side that's causing the problems, and it's a lot of these companies that have put the prices up of their goods for no reason, and they're getting massive dividends back from doing it. And these CEOs, these bosses, are getting massive paychecks out of it. Owen Jones, 100% correct here. And this is more coverage of it.
Morning to you. Yeah, bosses at some of the UK's largest companies have seen a big jump in their salaries at a time when many...
This guy has his own... Yeah, Owen Jones has his own YouTube channel, but he has some of the most clickbait thumbnails and titles I've ever seen. We should be wasting energy. We shouldn't be wasting energy all the time. I mean, you're not wrong.
Employees saw their pay packets outstripped by rising prices. Chief executive officers for firms on the FTSE 100, that's the index of the UK's largest publicly listed companies, saw their pay surge by 16% last year. It went up on average from 3.38 million in 2021 up to 3.91 million in 2022.
That's well above. I think that's well above inflation, 16%. And we've got the governor of the Bank of England here. Let's see what this genius, Andrew Bailey, has to say about this.
And ask them not to ask for too high pay rise.
Well, broadly, yes. I will say that in the sense of saying
trying to get
the audio is not great here.
Into people's heads and ask them not to ask for too high pay rise.
Well, broadly, yes. I will say that in the sense of saying we do need to see moderation of wage rises.
So, I'm sure Andrew Bailey will tell these CEOs, these bosses, to give back their pay rises.
Can't get my head around. I think I'm sure lots of people at home will feel the same. Is the amount of profits are being made by these energy companies? I've not heard any real reasonable defence of this.
There is no defence of these pay rises the energy companies are getting here. But the problem is, people just aren't annoyed enough or angry enough at the fact that these companies are making massive. Thank you, Gareth. We only care about CEO pay when it's charities, 100%. We should still be concerned about CEO pay when it comes to charities, no doubt. Because when people donate, they don't donate to a CEO, they donate to the cause of the charity. But we should be there should be more discussion around these companies making profit and the amounts they're making and how they're doing it. And the problem is now, it's just not happening. I think the media should be talking about it every day. Every day they should be on talking about how much profit these geezers are making. Honestly, it's just so stupid. 16% of 1 million is 160k. Andrew Bailey, yet another furthest Brexiteer. I just can't stand the geezer.
The latest figures. In July, British Gas reported profits of 969 million after price cap rises allow the company to make more money.
They had like a 900% pay increase on profits or something ridiculous.
From household bills. It has been reported around half the profit, 500 million, was due to changes in the price cap. In comparison, British Gas reported a profit of 98 million in the same period in the year before. I mean, it is extortion. How are they getting away with?
And this is what I mean. He is talking about this, but I think, like I said, if I was running one of these organisations, I'd be talking about it every day until people got sick of it and just saying how can we justify this? Genuinely, how can we justify these companies making stupid amounts of profits when once again people can't afford to heat their homes? The dire state of British transport. So British cities are more poorly served by public transport than those of any other wealthy Western country, including the US. How is it that we have worse public transport than the US? Genuine question. When, fair enough, maybe it's skewed because it's based on cities, but genuinely, US transport, apart from New York, from what I've heard, is not good. If there are any Americans in the chat, let me know, but how are we the worst? Look at this. I get, Germany has good public transport. It's fine. That's fine. That's normal. I've been over there in Berlin. It was great. Honestly, it's great. The Netherlands. Where are the Netherlands? Wow, Amsterdam's quite good for it, but maybe the rest of the Netherlands isn't great for public transport. We're at the bottom. Percentage of each country's large cities that have trams, metro, urban line. That's the issue. We don't have trams in the UK. Some of the cities do, but we don't for the most part. Metro and I don't know what urban light rail. Oh, okay, it must be like tubes and stuff. Metro would be tubes as well. We don't have a lot of that in the UK. It makes sense. Apart from London, I like I said, I think they should really include buses in this. I don't think maybe this is not the best research. Just looking at this, we will nix this, but yeah, it's still not great overall. Edinburgh does now. They've got trams and stuff. That's good. I was going to discuss this one, but we did this last week. I'll leave this one out. We're going to do some stuff on Rishi Sunak here because he's admitted he can't stop the boats.
My priorities is to stop the boats because I think the current system is both unsustainable and is completely
I can't do anything about the volume that much.
Unfair. That's particularly unfair on British taxpayers who are forking out millions of pounds to house illegal migrants in hotels in local communities. That's not right. We've got
if the volume's too quiet, let me know. I can up the gain on it.
It's not an easy problem to fix. I never said it'd be able to solve it overnight. It will take.
You literally said your priority is to stop the boats. No one said to do it overnight, but in theory, you should have enough time to do this.
And we have to attack it.
To be fair, if people in France really don't get what they want, then they start riots. So
lots of different ways, but I am pleased that the number of illegal migrants crossing this year is down for the first time in.
I don't think that's even true.
Some years that shows that our plans are working, but of course there's still more to do.
Bro, you didn't say you would reduce the channel crossing. You said you would stop them. That's the difference. Come on, bro. This is an important conversation to have, how different refugees are treated.
Honest here. Let's be honest. Over 200,000 refugees from Ukraine have been housed here in this country. We've got a actually particular specific visa system for them. Yesterday, your government announced £11 million to integrate them, to teach them English. If you're an Afghan refugee and you want to bring your wife over from Afghanistan, your government is requiring that woman to have learned English before she even leaves Afghanistan. There is a
which, in a country, Afghanistan, where women were able to get more access to education whilst the Taliban were gone. I doubt it was anywhere comparable to kind of the education levels Ukrainian women had access to.
Complete difference between the two groups of people, and they're all human beings, Mr. Bowie.
Of course they are. Of course they're all human beings, which is why, actually, we need to stop the evil and pernicious trade in human life on the channel so that we can tackle the asylum backlog.
Bro, if you gave safe access to just Afghan refugees like you have for Ukrainian refugees, you wouldn't be seeing the problems we're seeing now, Jay. He didn't acknowledge the fact that, racism is involved here. It's kind of annoying. Some more stuff on Sunak. I'll move this for when I actually record the video.
Message is this. Our
Oops. Sorry, guys, the volumes.
plan is starting to work.
Will it be done by the next election?
So I want it to be done as soon as possible, but I also want to be honest with people that it is a complex problem. There's not one simple solution, and it can't be solved overnight, and I wouldn't be being straight with people if I said that.
Again, it's just stupid. What he's saying is so dumb. Some more from Ben Kentish.
And an email from a government department about how ministers are going to help 10,000 refugees to receive support, to help them learn English, to give them careers advice, to put 11.5 million...
I ain't playing around, dog. Let's be real. The man in the British media might play around, but, I don't have to do that here.
...quid behind efforts to help them to settle into this country, to get on here and to build a new life. Great, you might be thinking. But there's one catch. It only applies if you come from Ukraine. I wonder what you make of that. Because if you're a refugee from Sudan or Somalia...
Again, I think Sudan's another war zone as well.
If you're from the Yemen, if you're from Syria, that scheme is not available for you. It only applies if you fled Ukraine. And it, to me, is one of the absolutely clearest, starkest examples yet of the double standards we have in this country in how we treat asylum seekers based on where they've come from.
What word would you use to describe such a system? Does it begin with R?
Because if you've come from Ukraine, we fling open our homes. The government will literally pay you up to £500 a month to house somebody with you. You get millions of pounds in support designed to help you to start a new life here and get on and rebuild what you've left behind. But if you're fleeing a different...
Got a super chat from Gareth MacDonald. Thank you, Gareth. Do me a favour here, okay? Next time anyone else blames Albanians, I'd like to remember something. Less than 30,000 Albanians fled last year. UK got less than 15,000. The current backlog... Yes, that is true. That was... Stella Creasley pointed that out to Suella Braverman recently. They talk about Albanians, but there aren't many Albanian refugees. And again, I don't know what the situation is like in Albania, so I couldn't tell you what they were running from. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was some. Wasn't some. I wouldn't be surprised if Albania is not the most stable country in the world. I'll be honest. They're probably running from something. Maybe they just want to build a better life for themselves. But, point being is that the vast majority of the refugees, I believe, the ones making the Channel crossing are from Afghanistan and Iran. Iran, a very, very repressive country. It was very close, I think, to civil war at one point, not too long ago. And you've got Afghanistan, which we know the situation in Afghanistan. We know how brutal the Taliban are. We don't need to go into a massive discussion about them. They do not play. Let's be honest. R as in right-wing, R as in racist. That racist is the word. Yes.
Different conflict. If you're feeling a conflict that is a few thousand miles...
If they were right-wing, they would just say, we're not accepting any refugees. That's what they'll say, regardless of where they're from. I can send you the stats if you like. If you're on Discord, go for it.
...further south or further east of Ukraine. It's a very different story, isn't it? If you're feeling Afghanistan, for example, you have to apply through schemes that are barely functioning. We heard earlier this...
And let's not also forget the situation in Afghanistan is the British government and the British military made promises to the people in Afghanistan that they will be housed, that they will be looked after, because they are being targeted by the Taliban. Actively targeted. These people will be executed. Their families potentially executed as well. Let's be honest now. the situation, the differences between Ukraine and Afghanistan reality should not be compared, because one country's people actively helped a British military campaign and is being hunted. Those people are being hunted by the Taliban.
This week on this very show about the 200 plus people in Afghanistan that have been butchered by the Taliban because we have failed in our promise to offer them support and sanctuary. We learned,
I believe even in the British embassy, there were a list of names of people who helped the British government and the British military, and I think the Taliban actually managed to get access to that. Honestly, what else can you say about this?
just today that the asylum backlog overall has grown again to a record level of 175,000 cases. And what that means in reality, of course, is vast numbers of people living in this country in this sort of bureaucratic purgatory. Their lives uncertain, their lives on hold, while they desperately wait for somebody in the Home Office to finally look at their paperwork.
They can't work. There's no way. The Home Office barely gives them any money. Barely gives them any money. They can't work in this country legally. Other countries, the refugees can work until their asylum is granted. The backlog is huge. It's taking forever to process people's applications. I think productivity has gone slightly higher now because they've gotten more people in. But, this whole thing is an absolute joke. Some Syrians, I know, are planning to head back home until the US slaps sanctions, preventing Syria. I didn't know that. That doesn't surprise me again.
Perhaps you think the most likely explanation is racism. If you're...
my man said it. My man said it. Straight up. My man said it. Respect to Ben Kentish. Honestly, respect to Ben Kentish. This is something I think Adil Ray should have mentioned. But respect to Ben Kentish. He said it. Not many British journalists would. Respect to the brother.
White, if you're European, you get treated very differently than if you've got brown skin and you come from Asia or Africa. It's crude, but that's what's going on here? Is that?
You can argue that the Albanians are being treated differently, but again, Albania is not our war. But yeah, he said, he asked the question at least.
The explanation is racism. If you're white, if you're European, you get treated very differently than if you've got brown skin and you come from Asia or Africa. It's crude, but that's what's going on here? Is that prejudice? Is that discrimination? Is that because we're just more aware of the Ukrainian conflict? Or are there other factors that you think are important and relevant here that I haven't touched on?
Because let's be honest now, the Russian military, absolute monsters. But they are probably on the same level as ISIS, as the Taliban, as other kind of militant groups, Al-Shabaab and that lot. But one group are being treated differently. Gareth doesn't start with an R, else I agree. I don't know the joke. Hello, Cthulhu. But yeah, honestly, shouts out Ben Kentish for this one. It's good job. More stuff on Sunday.
For the first time, numbers are down.
Asylum backlog in the UK hits record high. He can argue that there are less people coming here, but the backlog's still climbing massively. This from Lewis Goodall. We're not going to play the clip, but we'll just mention this. Lewis Goodall says, quote, having small boats week is the equivalent of having failure week put up in big letters. The Tories are pointing it out and saying, see what we haven't done anything about it. And, he's 100%, Lewis Goodall's 100% correct here. Saying small boats week, we're going to do something about it. People know you've been in charge for a long time and you've done nothing. So, pointing out you've done nothing about this is a very, very stupid thing to do. So I agree 100% Lewis Goodall here. You might as well say, that we're the failure party. We've done nothing about this. But, you keep supporting us and we might do something, especially when you come out with such great points as we couldn't stop the boats. Honestly. This from Labour, actually. This is actually a decent video.
People made 5 promises and one of them was to stop the boats.
He hasn't kept any of them.
Stop the boats. Stop the boats.
Stop the boats!
Stop the cap.
It is a complex problem. There's not one simple solution and it can't be solved overnight, and I wouldn't be being straight with people if I said that was possible.
That's the only honest thing that Rishi Sunak's ever said in his career, that, it's a complex situation. But, yeah, he got nothing. Genuinely. It's pretty good animation, but yeah, again, I think if you're a party that criticises another party for failure, you should have solutions to it. Labour don't, but at least it's a good short video on Rishi Sunak failing to live up to one of his 5 pledges, which he's failed, I think, on all of them, to be honest. So more on the Home Office backlog. Whoops.
Just want to bring you some breaking news that's coming into the newsroom here in London. These are figures from the UK Home Office. It says a backlog of asylum cases in the UK has hit a new record high. This is according to Home Office figures. A total of 175,457 people are waiting for an initial decision on an asylum application in the UK. That was up to the end of June 2023.
Almost 200,000 people waiting to hear something back from the Home Office.
That's up 44% on the same time. So that is a new figure from the Home Office there. A backlog of asylum cases, 175,000 people, 457 waiting for an initial decision.
That's not even a full decision. I think it's just if their case is going to be pushed through or not to be looked at. It's absolutely nuts. This is the situation we're facing here. Oh, don't start, Kieran. Do not do this. Do not do this, Kieran. Please do not do this. I'm going to ask nicely. Don't use this nonsense. The nonsense answer of Labour have to be bound by fiscal responsibility and budgetary nonsense. Don't do this. I'll ask nicely. We are going to discuss it in a few minutes. But yeah, some Brexit stuff. Not for EU labelling. So this came out the other day. Food in Northern Ireland from October, pre-packed meat and fresh milk being sent from Great Britain to Northern Ireland will have to be individually labelled in that way, with labelling of other goods being rolled out by July 2025. So we are seeing parts of, I think it's the Windsor Framework, so bits of packaging being put as not for EU. Is that the sticker there? UK, Northern Ireland? Is that it? Not for EU, there it is. Yeah, we'll talk about that stuff in a minute. And like I said, I'll be on stream with No Justice tomorrow on both our channels, simulcast, because I'm cool. And we'll probably discuss it a bit tomorrow. Actually, I should message. I'll probably drop her a message about it, talk about fiscal responsibility. Should I do that now? I'll do that now. Bear with. So remember. Bear with me. Sorry, guys. We should discuss. Oops. Sorry, guys. Just bear with me 1 second. If I could spell, my life would be easier. Someone has pinged me on Discord. When did you die? No. Some stupid guy called Night Raven trying to be a comedian. But yeah, this is a consequence of Brexit. It's not a very clear label. It's not, to be honest, because it's quite small here. I thought it'd be like a stamp, but I guess it's directly on the packaging. So you could try and repackage it, but it's there on the weight and things like that used by 4th of September. Surely it could have said in big letters, not for sale in the EU. Yeah, I think the more obvious it is, the more kind of certain people will get annoyed about it. But at the same time, is this not what someone like the DUP wanted? Which kind of, it doesn't create a hard border, but it means, these goods shouldn't be sold in Ireland. So it doesn't create a hard border, but it creates more checks potentially. Irish, there's going to be more checks on goods coming from Northern Ireland. There won't be across the border, but stuff will probably be checked, no doubt, at some place in Ireland away from the border. And if this stuff then gets sent to France, for example, France are doing more checks as well. So it's not a good sign for the UK, I think. And again, it limits us on what we can actually sell. But this is a consequence of the Windsor Framework. This is not positive. I'll be real. This is not. In a sense, it means the Windsor Framework is being put in, which is a good thing in the sense of maybe some more stability in Northern Ireland and maybe how Northern Ireland will get more trade. Gareth McDonald carrying the super chats today. In 2022, 28% of the small boat arrivals were from Albania and 20% were from Afghanistan. The rest, Iran, Iraq, Syria, and other nationalities. So if we have a look at that quickly, Afghanistan, this is obviously a war zone. Iraq, I think they still have massive stability issues. I wouldn't be surprised if there's pockets of ISIS and other groups. Syria would be the same. They're still at war. There's still a civil war going on in Syria. And other nationalities, I think Sudan would be in there as well, which isn't that stable. Gareth, you don't have to put these in super chats. if you don't want to, I can read them out in chat. But thank you, Gareth. I really appreciate it. Ireland should have greater independence. There would be get what? What does that mean? Let's see. I have mutiny here. Dog demands food. Trust me, I can hear my cat somewhere out there. He's making demands of me. But this is not. I don't know if this is positive or not. I'll be honest. I don't know if this is a good thing, because it means the UK are actually doing their job. I don't know. They don't want UK consumers to see it clearly. I mean, that is true, but the ones who would predominantly see it are the ones. Do you know what? Actually, if we think about this, right? Will it be wrong label? There's a Northern Ireland label, so it has free access to the EU single market. Yeah, that is true. That is true. But it's got UK Northern Ireland in the bracket there. What I would say is it the case that supermarkets and other producers are going to move to two different supply chains where they have two different labeling systems, or are they just going to keep it in one? Because if it's in one, it'll be very identifiable. I reckon it will be in one supply. They'll produce all of their meat will be produced like this. But the problem is I don't shop at Asda, so I don't know, and I don't buy meat from supermarkets. So if you live in Britain and you buy your meat from Asda supermarket, and you see this, let me know. If you go to another supermarket and you see this, also let me know. There should be marked with flags. Comedians are out in force today. The Republic of Ireland is independent. I am aware. Wrong label. That a Northern Ireland label, so has free access. Yeah, yeah. It's It says not for EU. Northern Ireland is in the EU single market for goods, so it really shouldn't be going to Northern Ireland. But I guess maybe this is a compromise they made, or maybe as they've got something wrong here. I don't know. We're gonna have to keep an eye out for that. But yeah, the UK can send meat to Northern Ireland. However, it has to be labelled in a way that if it goes to Ireland, they'll know that it should not be going to Ireland. The problem is if meat is from Northern Ireland but conditioned in the UK, the meat can't be sold in Ireland. What do you mean by conditioned, Sabine? That's the question. We move to the next one. This is a very long stream for me. The UK poised to confirm fifth delay to post-Brexit checks on imports. Wow, we're still not doing the basic import checks. I wasn't kidding. You've seen EU number plates, right? They're clearly marked as being the EU. Do you know what? I actually really haven't seen EU number plates. I'll be honest. Maybe I don't pay enough attention. I don't know. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, we're going to delay the import checks again. Do you know, every time they do this, every time it's, we're going to do the import checks at this time of year. And every time people are like, I don't believe you. And then it never happens. I see Brighton and Hove. Let's see what the scores are. Brighton, one of the cool teams. Damn, what? Wow, West Ham beat Brighton. That's nuts. I'm trying to figure out what their graphic was, but yeah, West Ham beat. That's nuts. Honestly, didn't see that coming. Conditioned could mean anything from packaging to no, just in a bundle, one operation outside Northern Ireland can't go. Right, okay, I think I get what you're saying. Any part of the production cycle that didn't happen in Northern Ireland can't go to the EU. Okay, that makes sense, Sabine, if I've got that correctly. Any part of the processing cycle, I guess. Government official said Hunt wanted to delay the costs associated with post-Brexit checks, which would add food bills. And, the food bills would be very expensive. Very expensive. In which it will have GB plant number, and if placed onto the Northern Ireland, will have to be labelled as not for the EU. Yeah, I think that would be the distinction. If it's not fully produced in Northern Ireland, then it's going to have that stamp on it. If it's partially produced in the UK, I think. We've spoken before about how expensive can be. The brain's not functioning. The checks can be. In terms of what you need for vets, amongst other things. So, can we bet on when they will delay or go for the state? It's gonna get. They're not going to do it. From what I've read, they're going to get rid of a lot of the checks on global imports. So they'll keep delaying this until they've got the new system, which does less checks on everything. So that's where we're heading, I think. We've got this Sunak corrupt. he Watchdog opens investigation to Rishi Sunak because of the fact that he has undisclosed things that he can get benefit from. His wife has a ton of investments. His wife, and his father-in-law have a ton of investments, which creates a conflict of interest, regardless of whether it's explicit or not, or whether it's clear or not that they are, conflicts of interest. He has to, with the childcare stuff, if his wife has investments in certain childcare companies and they get government contracts, on the face of it, it looks suspicious. And it'll always be so. That's the problem with having an oligarch in charge. For information, Maj, EU number plates have a small version of the EU flag displaying the 12 stars followed by the numbers. Okay, it's interesting. I might have seen one or two, but let's have a watch of Sunak being questioned on this a couple of months ago.
Is childminders. The other one is childminders and increasing the number of childminders. Can you explain why the government's chosen to give a £600 bonus if you sign up as an individual, as a childminder, but if you go through one of the 6 private childcare agencies, that you get a £1,200 bonus, a double bonus?
I think those agencies are like recruitment agencies, but I'm not sure.
Can you explain the logic behind that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this has been designed in consultation with the sector to make sure that it's
with
effective.
The 6 childcare agencies.
I said, well, I think it's been designed with the sector. I'm happy to get back to you.
There are only 6 childcare agencies, and they're advertised on the government's website. What conversations have the government had with these agencies about these proposals?
I'll happily write back to you and the committee on.
I don't think he did write
on
back
exactly what conversations are had and the rationale for that.
The rationale, the use of taxpayers' money to give double bonuses to sign up with private agencies.
Well, I think it's a reflection of the fact that they're through intermediaries.
Yeah, maybe he learned that from Boris Johnson, just lying on automatic. Honestly, he's like a machine gun of lies.
There are additional costs, and ultimately you just want to make sure the policy is effective in bringing additional people into the system, because I think...
And there's nothing the Prime Minister wishes to declare in respect of that?
No, I mean, all my disclosures are declared in the, in the normal...
In this episode of Things That Aged Poorly, Rishi Sunak said he'd stop the boats, didn't do it, said all disclosures are public. Clearly not the case. Yeah, shocker. I'm so surprised. What's the point in having a select committee when the PM is allowed to lie? I mean, he's not meant to lie to a select committee, but he could say he inadvertently lied to them. Like he thought he was being honest and he thought he disclosed everything, but he didn't. That's a mistake. Arguably, it was a... Sorry, I thought I could hear my cat. I think it was a mistake, but you can say it was not... He did not do it intentionally. That's where the line is there, I guess, potentially. Some more on this. Oh no, there's some other switching gears here. Something I'll probably discuss tomorrow during the stream, which is there's absolute proof to say if you rely on food banks, you are likely to worsen your GCSEs.
The broader issues we always end up talking about with GCSEs in particular, and with A-levels last week actually, is that there's still a huge disparity, isn't there, between those people that come from disadvantaged backgrounds. There is absolute proof to say that if you rely on food banks, you are likely to do worse at GCSEs. There's a direct correlation.
Last week's results, I think, were one of the highest gaps ever.
A huge gap between private and state schools. We are Britain. We're supposed to be fair.
You can never stop the gap.
Supposed to be equal. We can't get the very basics right at a very important stage in a young person's life. And if they don't get that right, if they don't get that right now, they're continually playing catch up.
There's also
and that's the point. If you live in an impoverished home, you're not your potential's capped because of that. So that's conflict of interest row before a G20 summit in New Delhi next month over claims that his family could stand to benefit financially from a post-Brexit trade deal that he honestly just it doesn't. None of that surprised me. It surprises me honestly. We go on. Labour talk about why they won't get rid of the 2-child cap, and this is a policy that it was very closely impacting my family. It's just it was separated by age groups, so I don't think it did. But this is a policy that could have impacted my family real bad, and Labour are keeping it.
This would lift 250,000 children out of poverty.
No,
according
to Sunak's "I'll write back to you" is the same as the checks in the mail. It's pretty funny.
The Child Poverty Action Group.
I do understand
it would
that.
also lessen the poverty for around 850,000 other children, which would ease the pressure on those families. It sounds like a lot, but actually in a budget, a government budget, 1.3 billion is a drop in the ocean, frankly. It is something you could so easily promise.
And you know, Susanna Reid here, the framing is beautiful. Chef's kiss beautiful, because in terms of the context of government budget, this is nothing. This is pocket change, honestly. 1.3 billion. That money goes back into the economy as well, because that money should, and sometimes it isn't. But most of the time it's spent on the kids, and that money goes back to the economy because their family can afford to buy more food. Maybe buy a few luxuries, and that money goes back into the economy. So, again, there's an economic argument to make here. I think it was Sam Seder who said certain paid benefits in America, it's worth a lot more to the economy than just a single dollar. So I think he said something on the lines of $1 paid in welfare was like worth $1.3 or something like that to the economy, because of the fact that the money's going through the system and it's paying for other people's jobs effectively. So the argument of we can't afford it is just nonsense. Economic illiteracy.
Well, it's really important that everything that we put forward is fully costed and
again, you could cost it. You could easily tax. You could change capital gains tax. You can go back to the 50% tax rate. Things like that. There are methods of you raising enough money to pay for this, because again, 1.3 billion is nothing. Somehow the government, by some miracle, found a way to pay 37 billion for test and trace, and yet you can't find 1.3 billion for getting rid of the 2-child cap. Honestly, it's nonsense. And this is the stuff here that really pisses me off about Labour. Yeah, we can't blame them for the cap being introduced in the first place, but when you're in power and you have the chance to remove it and you don't, then that's on you. At that point, when you have the chance to do something and you don't do it, that's on you, and you have to take responsibility for that. Poor people spend, rich people save. Yeah, pretty much. There's a pharmacy in Southampton that desperately needs its books checked. Going back years by HMRC, Sunak must have allegedly. I'm going to throw an allegedly in there. Scotland doesn't like this policy. No one likes this policy. Barges, maybe Labour didn't actually. I take that back, because apparently this has like 60% of people or something want to keep the 2-child cap in. But again, Labour can fight the framing on this one. But they choose not to, because Labour don't fight for anything. If it doesn't do well in the polls, they won't go for it, which is tragic.
Also said this morning in one of the papers that if he wasn't 18 now, he wouldn't be able to afford to go to university.
Which technically is not true anyways, because you still get a decent amount of money from the government if you're from a really disadvantaged background. So either it means that he wasn't from that much of a disadvantaged background when he was 18, or he's just talking nonsense. You know, it's difficult being a student. You are poor. Chances are you'll probably be in your overdraft, I'll be honest, especially if you're very irresponsible. But he if he was from as disadvantaged a background as he sometimes claims to be, he should still be able to go to university, even with all the dumb stuff the Conservatives are doing. I guess the only thing that would potentially prevent him is the rise in rents. That's the only thing.
Isn't this a pointless comment to make when Labour have said that they're not going to scrap tuition fees?
No, far from it. It's really important.
If it's the case that I don't know if the journalist framing's off it, but if it's the case that Starmer argued he wouldn't be able to go to university because of tuition fees, that's absolute nonsense. I don't like tuition fees. I genuinely detest them, but you pay them once you've got a job. So the argument of tuition fees are stopping you from being able to afford to go to university is nonsense.
Because it's the sort of conversation that people are having up and down the country. Keir, like many of us, comes from families that don't have huge means to fund their children to go to university. It's a calculation that young person must make about their future. And the point Keir's making there is that the economy is in such a perilous state. Knowing what's going to be out there for you after universities and whether it's going to be worth you getting that degree is in question.
That's not what even Starmer said, though. I don't think even Starmer even said that. He's talking absolute nonsense. And once you leave university, it'll be 3 years. Elections called next year, so you'd be 2 years into a Labour government potentially. You're saying nothing's going to change by then?
Where finances are now, making sure you can afford to have a good life at university, that's in question also. So
that is partially true. That one.
Have a good life at university. We know that where finances are now, making sure you can afford to have a good life at university, that's in question also. So
what Labour could do about that is increase the amount of maintenance loan and other things that you get from the university to make sure you can go through it, but Labour aren't going to do that.
This is a really important commentary to make, because this is a person who's gone on to be the leading prosecutor in this country, and that huge contribution he's made to justice.
When he went to university, it was free. If you're making the argument that Starmer went through the system and he managed to achieve great things. He went to university when it was free. So surely, if you're going to make the argument that this gentleman is making, you're going to have to make the argument that the university should be free then.
In this country, who wouldn't.
But it's also somebody who promised to scrap tuition fees in his leadership campaign, and he's rode back on that.
But as you know, Jane, we are committed to fixing student finance so that it doesn't deter young people from, perhaps non-traditional backgrounds or children who don't have lots of money behind them.
You keep saying this. Labour keeps saying this, but I see no results. I see no actual policies. The only one I saw from kind of a centre-left candidate was Ed Miliband when he said when he was leader to cut tuition fees to £6,000. That's the only thing I've seen from a centre-left candidate. Starmer said, Starmer keeps saying, "Oh, I'm going to fix it. How are you going to do it, big man?" That's what I want to hear.
What we can't do, just take us back to where we were when I was on the programme a year ago, Jane. We didn't know the damage the government were going to do to the economy then. So goodness knows where we'll be in a year's time. What we won't do is give people false hope or false expectations.
You won't give people any hope. You won't do anything. That's the problem. This is nonsense. And, there's this here, Starmer pushing nonsense economics. And I'll discuss this in a video. Keir Starmer and the nonsense, nonsense economic arguments. But honestly, this is shocking stuff.
Cost of living crisis that we're now living through were the position when I was just picking up my A-level results, then I don't think I would have been able to afford to go to university.
So I think he's talking about, like the cost of like food and general goods and things like that.
Remember a Labour leadership candidate called Keir Starmer pledging to abolish tuition fees just 3 years ago.
Wonder what happened to that geezer. Maybe he didn't win the leadership contest.
What happened to that?
Yeah, well, look, I do think the current scheme is unfair and
So announce something. Tell us what you're going to do about it.
Effective, and that's why we will change it. So the current scheme will be changed by an incoming Labour.
It's over. It's Joe over for us. It's abandon all hope.
Government, and we'll set out our plans. But there's no getting away from the fact that in the intervening years, the last 2 or 3 years, huge damage has been done to our economy, and we therefore cannot make funding commitments that we can't, costs that we can't show where the funding is coming from. We know, if you look at what Liz Truss did, she.
This is the bit here where this bit really annoyed me. This line here.
Experimented with, unfunded commitments. In her case, it was tax breaks for the wealthy, and you saw the impact on the economy. One of the women.
He's being so disingenuous here because the reason the economy tanked wasn't because of the unfunded promises. The reason it tanked is because she promised to do tax cuts via without funding. She was going to borrow a lot of money to do these tax cuts, and when people asked how does that help the economy, she had no answers because she was pushing trickle-down economics, which we know doesn't work. That's why the economy tanked. That's why people were selling off bonds, because they didn't believe in this stuff. They didn't believe that this would work. If you look at what Rishi Sunak did, he borrowed 37 billion for test and trace. Where was the economic crisis? Where were people selling off bonds? If you explain to people how you're going to invest the money, it doesn't turn out like this. If people believe that it's going to actually go somewhere and they'll get a return on investment, this thing that he's pushing is so stupid, especially when France are borrowing a lot of money to fund their full nationalisation of EDF. Where's this crisis in France? Why aren't people selling French bonds? If you explain to the investors where the money's going, generally there's no concern about it as long as it's not going to something stupid. So it's just so stupid, especially when I think France's debt to GDP is slightly higher than ours. So the nonsense argument is just so stupid. Awful stuff here. And this is one of the reasons why we have such high economic illiteracy in this country, because the media do a trash job and the politicians do a trash job because they're happy to push this narrative. It's a household budget. 2 trillion were added. Does it matter if it goes up or down? If you're talking about the national debt, it is a problem. But again, if they borrowed that money to invest it properly, it wouldn't be so much of a concern. That's the difference. If you borrow a lot of money to invest it in schools, that's a long-term investment which will pay off when people get better jobs as they go older. If you borrow 37 billion for test and trace, where the money goes to mostly consultants and does nothing, yes, then it's a problem. Why are UK universities so expensive? It's just stupid. Honestly, it's just because the government... I don't know. I think the government just set it up so vice chancellors can make stupid amounts of money. You have to speculate to accumulate. Yes, 100%. No, they did believe. They want you to pay much more for borrowing after you promised you will borrow what? Stuart, it's all just 2.7 trillion at the end of May. Will they investigate PPE and test and trace? Will they investigate Boris and Levitt? Probably not, let's be honest. Build 400k houses in the next 4 years. I doubt they'll be able to do that. Planning permission rules in this country are so backward. 500 billion on failed. Exactly. When you borrow money and you invest in stupid stuff, then yeah, of course, people are going to be like, "What the hell are you doing?" We're not going to, your bonds aren't great, especially when other countries offer better returns and more stability, or both. Build wind farms. Exactly. Labour are saying they're going to spend like 28 billion or something like that on renewables, which I think is good policy. How are you going to fund it? Because you're not going to fund it through growing the economy. You don't have the time to do that. So you're going to obviously borrow the money, let's be honest, or you're not going to do it. So, the argument against borrowing is just so stupid. This really frustrates me because he's pushing the nonsense. He's pushing the nonsense that other politicians and media figures push about, talking about the Liz Truss stuff here. He's framing it in the most stupid way possible.
Funding is coming from. We know, if you look at what Liz Truss did, she experimented with, unfunded commitments. In her case, it was tax breaks for the wealthy, and you saw the impact on the economy. One of the women I was speaking to this morning, two-income families, said their mortgage is going up £600 because people are still paying the cost. So I'm not going to pretend that there isn't huge damage to the economy, and that has meant that some of the things that an incoming Labour government would want to do, we are not going to be able to do in the way we would want, when we would want. But
it's just absolute nonsense, because some of the stuff you can do, you're choosing not to do it, like getting rid of the two-child cap. Where's it gone? Where are you, two-child cap? Oh no, where are you, Rachel Reeves? Oh no. Have I closed it? Oh, there it is. You could do this. This one's doable. Yeah, it costs money, but it's doable. And that money, a lot of it would go back to the economy. So this is absolutely economic illiteracy on the highest of levels. Genuine economic illiteracy, honestly. And you're treating the public as fools. And I'm not going to vote for a party that thinks I'm stupid. I'm not going to vote for a party that treats me stupid. I don't want to do it. Don't make me do it. I'm asking nicely here. This is, kind of more about the Tories and education. And again, these people are not good when it comes to dealing with education, the Tories. I'm not saying, this is not, me criticising Labour is never in support of the Tories, because this is the truth, that spending per pupil has gone down. And I think Adil Ray learnt from his kind of debate with the Tory minister last week of, how to frame this better, which is not to focus on the raw amounts of money going in, but focus on per capita.
Oh, in 2010. We had reached a high in terms of the amount of money that was being spent per pupil. That was £7,260. Now, according to the IFS, since 2010, that dropped in real terms to reach £6,640 per pupil. So you may say you're putting more money in, but it's still a lot less than it was before 2010, when we look at real terms per pupil.
I think when you talk about real terms, I think you might factor in inflation into that, which is fine. But this is a lot better framing from Adil Ray here, because he had a torrid time last week. But focusing on per capita, per pupil, things like this, this is a much better way of focusing on statistics. Because what the Tories love doing is say, we put 50 billion in there, but per pupil, what's it worth? Nothing. Per person, what's it worth? Nothing. And that's the key there. That's how you beat the Tories when it comes to framing. Is when they talk about the big numbers, you put it in context, especially if Labour were doing a better job before 2010, especially when that's the case.
But you've been in power for 13 years. Why are you still trying to put what it looks like plasters on this issue?
No, on the contrary, the education reforms have been a huge success. When we came into power in 2010, 68% of schools were good or outstanding. Today, that's 88%. We are rising in the international league tables in terms of the reading ability of 9-year-olds. We are now 4th in the world, the best in the West in terms of the reading of our children. We're going up in the international league tables in maths attainment.
But then why do we still have this huge disparity then? If schools are so outstanding, then why is it that if you're poor or disadvantaged, or if you go to state school, you are less likely today to open up your envelope and find good GCSE results, and therefore probably less likely to do well at your A-levels and less likely to go to university? Why do we still have disparity if we're so outstanding?
We had a problem over COVID because it's absolutely true that children from disadvantaged backgrounds suffered disproportionately during the COVID pandemic. The home life is difficult. There's no space to work and so on. They did suffer disproportionately.
If only people could afford, more affordable housing, or maybe like a desk or something in order to make their situation at homes better. If only we could do more things to make people's home lives more stable and better. If only.
Fortunately, but our reforms before the pandemic had closed out.
I think Adil Ray did a decent job here about the per pupil thing. I think this is good work. Here's a capitalist telling you the system is unstable.
Repentant capitalist. I believe in the capitalist system. It is the best system we have, apart from all the others that have been tried and failed.
Such as what? What other systems are you talking about? He's probably talking about communism, let's be honest.
Has got flaws, but I am a capitalist. I believe if you take risk, if you work hard through your own grit, determination, and effort, you should get rewarded for the work you do. Am I comfortable, however, with these exponential levels of pay compared to the average worker in terms of the multiples that CEOs...
Oh, we're not going to watch this. This is pretty painful, actually. This video is painful. I just remembered watching it earlier. You got a situation where you've got a family that both people work, both parents work. The dad is saying he's left with 3% of disposable income after a month, after rent, childcare, questioning if he's to blame here, which he's not. He's done exactly, and I think he mentions it as well in the video, that he's done what the Conservatives have asked him to do, which is, both people are working full time, but because of things like childcare and other things, it's just too expensive. And yeah, the Conservative Party say, oh, we need more people to have children and blah, blah, blah. But, clearly they're talking about middle class people, because they won't help working class people with things like childcare and other provisions. And so, the question this person asks is he a failure? No, he's 100%, he's not a failure. You've done exactly what was asked of you by society, and society did not help you when you need it. So it is tragic. But yeah, people being priced out of being able to work. Hi, Ben. People being priced out of living because of childcare costs, The fact that our childcare in this country is so expensive is just stupid. It's such a backward system where you charge people ridiculous amounts of childcare. You incentivize people just to stay home. Genuinely, you incentivize them to stay home. Excuse me, because of the fact that they can't. What's the point if you earn 20k a year, whatever, right? And your take home pay is probably about like 18 or 17. If you're paying 6-7k just for childcare, and you work hard, what's the point? Genuinely, what's the point? You don't make that much after you've dealt with things like childcare, after you've dealt with things like having to commute to work, if you have to commute to work, etc. It's not worth your money to go stressed out to work 37, 40 hours a week and to make not a lot of money because of you have to pay for things like childcare. Just such a dumb system. We go to the last clip of the day, which is, well, really this should be with the Brexit content. I'll move this. Good old Richard Ticey saying he thinks we were out-negotiated by the EU.
Agree is on the easier stuff, where you've agreed. And that obviously varies from country to country. What you want to agree is on the...
He's talking about trade deals.
Easier stuff, where you've agreed. And that obviously varies from country to country.
Who's a plum? You talking about me? Who's a plum? Got to go getting a migraine from the smoke. Take care. All right, see you, Cthulhu. Take care.
So get something...
Oh, Richard Ticey, yes, he is.
...done, build some confidence, and then move on to round 2 and round 3, and see if you can work it that way.
The problem is, every country in the world knows we're a bunch of losers desperately looking for trade deals for optics. That's why we got mugged off by Australia and New Zealand. So every country knows this. They ain't going to give us good deals, are they? They're going to get exactly what they want. And if we don't give them what they want, they're going to say, see you, chump. That's what's going to happen.
It'll be the Indian negotiators will be arguing for many, many more visas than I suspect.
Why do they want so many? Why do they want so many?
Because they want people to come here to get good jobs, probably for remittance payments, because they know they can get paid way more in the UK and they'll probably send some of that money home. So one of the ways, I think some African families make so much money is through remittance payments. Is their families go off to richer countries, they work hard, and they send a lot of the money back home. I know it happens with Eastern European families as well, where sometimes the father or the male will go off, will move to kind of a Western European country to try and make as much money as possible to send that money home so they can have a better life from whatever country they're from. So probably one of the major reasons behind why India wants so many visas for the UK, because they can, remittance payments are massively helpful.
Well, that's because there's a big Indian community here in the...
I mean, it's not necessarily the first agenda, but, clearly getting visas for India is big on their trade deal. Trade deals aren't just, don't always have to be about goods or services, they can be about people as well.
UK.
Yeah.
And they will be pushing it.
Not obviously selling people and buying people, but, trading in labour, should I say.
Very successful business community. So
Yeah.
you can understand why they're pushing for it. But equally, the role of the government is to look after British citizens and to make sure that any trade deal works for the United Kingdom. And my concern about is, frankly, given what we're seeing about the quality of the civil service all over the place,
It's not the civil servant's fault. The problem is you have a bunch of ministers looking for easy optics wins. That's why they keep touting about how good the Australia deal is and the New Zealand deal when they're trash.
the quality of our negotiators being out-negotiated, as we all fear, frankly, we have been with the European Union.
We did get out negotiated. They got what they wanted, which is the TCA. We didn't get services. We wanted services. We didn't get it. They wanted goods. They got it. So, that they can, and especially because we're not doing checks, they can sell their goods into the UK way cheaper than we export our goods into the EU. So yes, the EU got exactly what they wanted and more because of our lack of checks. So Ticey, you're not wrong. We were out negotiated, but the problem was if we didn't get the trade and cooperation deal through, we would be in a much, much worse position with our exports facing tariffs and quotas and other barriers. And our imports from the EU facing probably nothing because of the fact that the checks are just too expensive for us to do at our end. We've priced our own goods out of the EU. Our exports are priced out for the most part, and they cost a lot more. So, these countries are going to look for alternatives, whether that's looking at other third countries that have cheaper production costs or looking at, most likely other EU member states that can pick up for it, whether that's a British company setting up a subsidiary within the EU or just another rival, honestly. You can get non-dom status. Ask Rishi. Yeah, Rishi doesn't like being asked about non-dom status. Richard Tice is he's in charge of the Reform Party. Good old Ticey. Let's see. Yeah, civil service do their best. I mean, we have good negotiators in this country. The problem is the politicians keep setting stupid deadlines, and so what it means is you have to. No worries, Stock. I'm going to end in a few minutes, anyways. But the problem is if you've got a specific deadline and the other side know you've got a deadline, they can just say, "Look, you either agree to our terms or we get nowhere, and you miss your deadline or you get nothing." And for these other countries, they get massive benefits from these trade deals. Their GDP, it adds a decent amount to their GDP, whereas it adds 0.02% to ours, and worst case scenario, it adds minus 0.02% to our GDP. So yeah, not good, is it? But some people voted Brexit because they saw too many brown faces in Tesco's. Oh, if this trade deal goes through, you're going to see a lot more, pal. And do you know what else? You're going to see a lot more over the next few years. You know why? Because there are less EU citizens coming here, and predominantly EU citizens are white. And you're going to see more people from Asia, more people from Africa, more people potentially from South America, because you voted for Brexit, and the British economy needs workers. It needs workers, so you're going to have visas go out further towards Asia, be it kind of Southeast Asia, more towards the Indian subcontinent, that kind of area, towards Africa, towards South America. So you're going to see more dark-skinned people, or darker-skinned people, and you Brexiters going to be real mad about it. They sent the Brexit you voted for, huh? Should have known what you were voting for, chump. But yeah, we'll probably end the stream here. We're going for about almost 2 hours. I started late as always, but we move. Thank you for all the super chats, Roisin, Gareth. Was anyone else? I don't remember. But thank you for the super chats. That's gonna go. That's soundboard money, so I can make these streams really fun. Gareth and Roisin carrying the super chats today. Really appreciate it, guys. It goes a long way. Honestly, it goes a long way. But yeah, we'll end the stream here. If you haven't joined the Discord server, try and join the Discord server. I'll be a lot more active on there, especially until you have more people on, and be able to talk directly, which is a lot easier. Patreon is there if you want it. YouTube membership is there if you want it. Of course, I always appreciate that stuff. You've done good, mate. Covered a lot. Plus, I know you could go on for hours. I could, but at the same time, I'd probably die inside. So I don't like going on for too long. I think an hour and a half, an hour is a good time for a stream. But we wasted a lot of time talking about the RNC and doing other stuff, and Mad Nad's finally quitting from Parliament. But what that also means is there's another by-election Sunak's got to win. He's got to win another by-election. Nice evening. Need to cook some supper. It's very late to eat. Why are you cooking supper now? It's like 9 o'clock in Germany. It's nuts. That's crazy. Chat's been pleasant. Also, yeah, credit to the chat. One of the benefits of having, I guess, a smaller channel, a smaller audience is that generally the comments are generally better. Does this apply to the English rugby team? Hardly a Saxon in it. Bye everyone. It's been a good holiday weekend. If you're having one, yes. If you're off on Monday, then credit to you. I will be streaming tomorrow with No Justice, hopefully. I need to figure out a time because I was going to do something else during the day. But yeah, we'll be discussing some stuff on the Tories, on Labour, why politicians suck in this country, things like that. So yeah, there'll be I think hopefully be a good spirited discussion. So if you're free tomorrow, let me know. I'll try and avoid Mark's stream as well. I'll figure out what time he's streaming and try and avoid that as best I can. But you know, I know there are a good few people who stream on Sunday, so sometimes it's unavoidable, and there's not much you can do. But you can always watch stuff back if you want to. That's always the benefit of YouTube. So yeah, I'll be streaming hopefully with No Justice tomorrow. So I'll let you guys know. I'll put a community post up once we've figured out a time. Yeah, if everyone could hit the like button as they leave, that would be glorious. Let's see. But yeah, other than that, it's been a long stream. But I appreciate everyone joining. I did see the FIFA, the Spanish FA president has been, he's been, what was it? He's been suspended by FIFA because of what he did, which is good considering what he did was really bad. Because I'm late, Maj. Because I'm late. I thought Germans were meant to be on time for everything. Crazy. But yeah, I'll catch you all hopefully next Saturday. I'll put whoa before I forget, because I almost forgot there. Almost, you guys almost caught me lacking. Almost. We'll put the community chat up for next week. So this will be, hopefully it'll be live chat 15. So if you've got any questions, post it here in the community section, which is you just go to my channel, click the community button, click on this comment button, and you can leave a question here. So if you have anything during the week, just feel free to post it there, and I will get around to it just like we've done today. We had a couple of questions, answered them as best I can. So but yeah, I'll leave it there. I'll catch you all hopefully next Saturday around 6 p.m. UK time. I'll try not to be late. I won't play Yu-Gi-Oh before the stream because probably where I've gone wrong. And yeah, sucks because people play stupid decks. But anyways, I'll catch you guys next week. Bye bye.